Hey YouTube, and welcome back to my channel. It's me, obviously. I guess I'm supposed to say if you aren't following me on Instagram or Twitter already, you should be following me because I update daily there. You guys, we are living in unprecedented times, and I think a lot of us kind of don't even know how to even deal with what's going on, how to even process what's going on. But I'm trying to keep a sense of normalcy going as much as possible. And that's why I am continuing to do my videos, because I think that any coping mechanism that we have should be employed right now. And my biggest coping mechanism is staying productive. So yeah. But at the same time, I don't want to ignore what's going on outside. I feel like that would be a bit irresponsible and just not the best strategy for me as a person with a platform. So today, I'm trying to keep the topic light while still acknowledging what is going on outside. You guys stay at home as much as possible. We have to listen to the authorities. We have to listen to the professionals because they're the ones that know how to beat this thing. So my prevailing message is stay home. But in this video, I want to tell you guys about 4 things that I'm not going to do in this quarantine. So the first one is obviously leaving my house. I don't know how many different ways there are to say it. As we said in one of my past videos, in theory, the virus has a limited time of life. So in theory, if we were to all lock ourselves inside for a month, math says that the virus would have died out. But, measures taken by the government, some would say they weren't fast enough, some would say they weren't extreme enough, others would say it was impossible for them to be any other way. I don't know, I'm not making a judgment off of that, but the point is that the idea of staying inside our houses didn't happen, at least not soon enough. And at least in the case of Italy, that's one of the reasons why we are seeing the situation that we're seeing. Just a quick clarification. Obviously, I know that if you live in a really rural area and you have a huge backyard, obviously you can go outside of your house. If you live in a not densely populated area where you're not around other people, in theory, before today in Italy as well, you can go for a jog. But what ended up happening here in Italy, in our very densely populated cities, is a lot of people were, well, I don't want to say a lot, but enough people were using the freedom of being able to still do sports in isolation and still go to the grocery store and still be able to walk your dog as kind of an excuse to still be social. They were still running in groups. They were going to the grocery store way too often to meet people at the grocery store, going to the grocery store in groups as well. So as of the filming of this video, the restrictions in Italy have gotten even stricter, and a lot of these activities aren't no longer even allowed. So my plea to everybody would be to just stay inside. And I know that it's hard. I know that it's difficult. It's certainly not fun. But every time I think about how much it sucks for me to be inside, I just think about the doctors and the nurses that are tending to the sick. And I mean, that's enough for me to say, you know what? Let me check myself. Maybe I should stay inside. Yes, I would love to get a breath of fresh air. Yes, I would love to take a walk and stretch my legs, but I'm sure they would too. I'm sure the people working in the grocery stores, the people working in public sanitation, I'm sure that all of these people would love to have a break as well, but they can't have one. And so that's what I think about when I start to wonder, I'd love to go outside, but I can't. Woe is me. Actually, there are lots of people that have it way worse than you in this situation, and so we have to just stay inside. Stay inside. That said, another thing that I'm not letting myself do in this period is staying in bed all day. It's not, take it from somebody that was actually diagnosed with clinical depression in her life. Staying in bed in a dark room is definitely not going to help you in this period. If you're feeling down, if you're feeling sad, being alone in a bed is not going to help the situation. Again, it's hard, it's not fun, but you have to force yourself to get up and do something, whether it be something as little as brushing your teeth or something as big as undertaking a new project during this quarantine. But what you can't do is let yourself stay in bed. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to read new books, listen to new music, acquire new skills, learn new things, talk to different types of people on the internet. I'm taking this opportunity of quarantine to try to better myself, because at the end of the day, I can't control anything outside of these four walls, but I can control what I'm doing and what I'm doing for myself and what I'm doing inside my house. So for sure, my thing is I can't waste this time. I can't waste these days. I can't stay in bed either sleeping or thinking about how crazy and shitty the world is right now. So I get up and I carry on with my day just as best as I can. Third thing that I'm not going to do, which is closely tied with the second thing I'm not going to do, is I'm not going to lose focus of my actual goals. At the end of the day, I had a life before this crisis. I hope that I'm going to have a life after this crisis. And so this period in between can't be something that doesn't bring those goals to fruition. I am still 110% focused on achieving those goals. This situation is going to have a lasting impact on our lives. I hope that there will still be some positive impacts together with the obvious negative impacts, but I would like to minimize those negative impacts as much as possible. I'm still working towards my goals for the house. I'm still looking at furniture and design. I'm still looking at my budget and trying to keep everything in order so I make sure that I have enough money to bring everything to fruition. I'm still working on setting some goals and meeting them for my job. I'm still trying to set some goals and meet them for my content, for this YouTube channel, for my other platforms. We have to force ourselves to keep going on. We have to force ourselves to keep progressing. It's a crazy time. It's a tragic time, but we can't give up. We have no choice. We have to keep going forward. The last thing that I'm not going to be doing in this quarantine, at least not anymore, is watching the news. What does the news even bring me? I've narrowed it down to two emotions: confusion and anxiety. From the music they use, to the questions they ask, to the tones in their voices, and everything about traditional news media I see doesn't bring me anything. It doesn't help me, it just hurts me. One thing that I find insanely annoying is that every single day you have the people on the news saying, another dark day, X number of new victims, the highest number up to date. You guys, haven't we established for weeks now that the contagion, the death toll, it's all exponential. So it's kind of obvious that all of the numbers are going to keep going up until they don't. Is there really a point for you to tell me every single day that this was the worst day ever? We knew 3 days ago that every day after this would be worse and worse until it just isn't anymore, because that's how the freaking graph works. I don't know. What is the point of you putting this kind of anxiety onto me as a person? I don't know, maybe I'm the only one that feels this way. The dissemination of information is actually quite slow. They like to reveal information to you piece by piece. And what this leads to is often a lot of misinformation or straight up confusion. The news isn't giving me any comfort, and they're also not giving me any new information, any helpful information, honestly. The information that they give me, I could find on my city's Twitter trends without the hysterics and without the clickbait. So given that, I've decided to just plug out of the traditional news and coverage on the crisis. And I've decided this for my own mental health. And let me tell you that it's working. Now let's be clear, not watching the news and being uninformed are two different things. I do still keep up with the news online. I'm just not using the traditional methods of consuming it. I usually start out with some of my favorite news content creators because they're famous for being a bit more independent, a bit more candid, a bit more real, and a bit more level-headed, such as Breaking Italy here in Italy, or Philip DeFranco if I'm talking about something from the States. And then I'll go on to do my own independent research from news sources that are known to be impartial and unbiased. And that's it. And I limit the news that I consume as well. I want to know the facts. I want to know what's going on, but I don't really want any extra thrills and frills to make it seem like, I'm going to die tomorrow. So yeah, you guys, those are 4 things that I'm not doing in the quarantine, and also just like a little bit of advice, in my opinion, on how we can try to, confront this time together. How we can try to get out of this with our sanity in one piece. I'm not a mental health professional and I'm not trying to take the place of one, but these are my coping mechanisms, and just, I feel like sharing each other's coping mechanisms can actually be helpful to the wider community. So feel free, if you guys have some coping mechanisms that you can leave in the comment section down below, so we can all just like compile different ways of dealing with this situation. Go for it. I think that's going to be it for this video, you guys. Remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, I will see you in my next one.